Do you ever notice how questions in English work a little differently compared to other languages? Like, if you're asking a yes or no question, you would probably just swap the words around, right? So you are listening becomes are you listening? But doing that to form a question is already pretty rare across the world's languages. Most languages just do something like, for example, putting an extra word at the end of a sentence that says, hey, this is a question, right? Or you'll conjugate a verb differently, or in many languages you could just use a specific intonation that's associated with questions. But rearranging a whole sentence just to form a question is really quite uncommon, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Think of the very first question I asked you. Do you ever notice? What is that do doing here? Don't laugh. Wait, there it is again. The word do and the sheer extent to which it is used is another big part of what makes English questions stand out cross-linguistically. Because when we say that to make a question in English you rearrange the words in a sentence, well, it's not just any words. Specifically, we do something called subject-auxiliary inversion, where we swap the subject of the sentence and an auxiliary verb. These are generally the verbs that attach a grammatical meaning to a sentence, like is, has, could, would, that sort of thing. And that's why we're able to say things like, we could see a movie. Could we see a movie? But you don't really hear people saying, see we a movie? But here's where it gets tricky. You can hear people saying, did we see a movie? And that's because English uses the word do to fill in these situations where you would otherwise see an auxiliary verb. This is called do support, and you don't only hear it in questions. In fact, well, you just heard it right now. Because do support is often used to make sentences negative as well. That's why I said you don't hear instead of you hear not, which might not be incorrect, just a little Shakespearean. This particular construction is seen in different ways and to different extents across the other West Germanic languages, like German, for example. But it's really only English that has formalized it as the go-to way to form questions and do negation in this context. So that's pretty cool, don't you think? For the time being, I do hope you enjoyed this brief introduction, and if there's anything else you want to talk about, let me know. For the time being, have a wonderful rest of your day.